Welcome to the Regenerative Agriculture, Thriving as a Modern Rancher, the podcast for ranchers and land stewards looking to build healthy land, profitable businesses, and a fulfilling life. Join us as we explore regenerative practices and holistic management to help you thrive in today's ranching world. Hello, this is Christine again. In this episode, I want to talk about how we build resilience in our land. But if we're not resilient as a decision maker, then our operations will still be fragile. So let's get started. Specifically, I want to talk about something that's been bothering me for a while as I work with more land stewards. I keep meeting land stewards who are doing incredible work. Their soil tests are improving, their biodiversity is increasing, their water cycles are getting stronger. By every measure, their land is becoming more resilient. But then Mother Nature sends them a curveball, whether it's a late freeze, an unexpected drought, a disease outbreak, and suddenly they're spinning their wheels, second-guessing everything they're doing and feeling completely overwhelmed. Here's what puzzles me. If your land is getting more resilient, why aren't you feeling more confident? Why does one unexpected challenge still shake you to your core? Today, I want to explore what I call the resilience paradox, why healthy land doesn't automatically equal confident stewards. And more importantly, why this might be the missing piece that's keeping you stuck. Let me paint you a picture that might sound familiar. You've been working really hard on your land management. You've implemented rotational grazing. You've put in a water system. You've improved your fencing. You've planted cover crops to create diversity. You've reduced inputs and you've reduced chemical spraying. Your soil organic matter is up. Your plant diversity is increasing and your water infiltration rates are improving. You should feel confident, right? Your land is responding exactly how it's supposed to. But then something unexpected happens. Maybe it's a late spring that throws off your grazing plans. Maybe it's your products aren't selling at the prices you anticipated, so now this is affecting your cash flow. Maybe it's a new disease outbreak, like the current New World screwworm that everybody's talking about. And suddenly, despite all your progress, you find yourself questioning every decision you've made. You're lying awake at night worrying about what you should do differently. You're frantically researching solutions online. Been there, done that. Feeling like all your progress could disappear overnight. Wondering if you're actually as good at this as you thought. Does this sound familiar? I want to tell you, you're not alone. I've been in that boat too. And here's the thing. This isn't a character flaw. This isn't about being weak or lacking willpower. This is about a fundamental misunderstanding of what resilience actually is. Here's what I've realized. We've been thinking about resilience all wrong. We focus on building resilient systems, resilient soil, resilient water cycles, resilient financial plans, resilient infrastructure. But we completely ignore the most critical component of the entire system, ourselves. The human. Think about it this way. Your land can have the most diverse plant communities, the healthiest soil biology, the most robust and effective water cycles. But if you, the decision maker, falls apart under pressure, what happens to all that resilience? Every decision in your operation flows through you. How you interpret what you're seeing, how you respond to these challenges, how you prioritize when everything seems urgent. That's all happening in your mind, influenced by your habits, your conditioning, your stress responses. But nobody talks about this. All the regenerative education focuses on external systems, how to manage grazing, how to build soil health, how to read your land, how to plan finances. What about how to manage your own stress responses? What about how to build confidence that doesn't crumble at the first sign of trouble? What about developing that mental and emotional resilience that matches your land's physical resilience? Here's the uncomfortable truth. You can build the most resilient operation on paper, but if you're an anxious, overwhelmed decision maker, that resilience is just an illusion. Let me give you a concrete example from the Texas droughts of 2023 and 2024. I know two ranchers who both experienced those brutal conditions. Both had been implementing regenerative practices for several years. Both had seen improvements on their soil health and water retention. But here's how differently they handled the prolonged drought. Rancher A went into crisis mode early, started selling cattle sooner than planned, which eventually hurt cash flow. The financial stress created tension at home, arguments about whether they should have kept more hay reserves, whether they were moving too fast with regenerative practices. The family stress made every decision harder. They spent months in reactive mode, fighting fires, and relationships were strained, almost to the point of divorce. Rancher B took a completely different approach. Yes, they had to make difficult decisions about cattle numbers and feed resources, but they stayed centered throughout the process. They communicated clearly with family members about their reasoning. When financial pressures mounted, they addressed it systematically rather than reactively. They even found opportunities in the situation, like strengthening relationships with neighbors and discovering which animals were truly best adapted to their environment. Same external challenges, both had built soil health and improved water retention, but completely different outcomes. The difference wasn't in their land management knowledge or even their land's resilience. The difference was in their internal resilience, their ability to stay centered under financial pressure, navigate family dynamics clearly, and respond rather than react when everything felt overwhelming. Here's what most regenerative education misses. The same principles that build resilience need to be applied to building personal resilience. When we build soil resilience, we focus on diversity, redundancy, and adaptive capacity, right? We create systems that can handle disturbance and bounce back stronger. But what about our own mental and emotional systems? Do you have diversity in how you process information? Do you have redundancy in your stress management? Do you have adaptive capacity when your plans don't work out? Most of us don't. I didn't. I have it now, but I didn't then. We have one way of thinking about problems, one stress response pattern, one approach to uncertainty. But when that gets overwhelmed, our entire decision-making system crashes. The most successful land stewards I know aren't just building resilient land systems. They're building resilient decision-making systems. They understand that their own mental and emotional state is just as important as their soil health. They work on their habits of thought. They develop practices for staying centered under pressure. They built what I call decision-making resilience, the ability to think clearly and respond wisely to no matter what gets thrown at them. There's a specific way to build this decision-making resilience that most regenerative education completely misses. It's about developing the same systematic approach to your mental and emotional responses that you use to your land. While everyone's focused on soil health matrix and grazing plans, the most successful land stewards are quietly working on something else entirely: their own habits, their thought patterns, and their stress responses. They understand that your land can only be as resilient as the person making the decisions. Most land stewards will never learn this because they're too busy chasing the next practice or next technique, never realizing that their own conditioned responses under pressure are undermining everything that they're trying to build. But here's what's exciting. Just like you can measure and improve soil health, you can measure and improve your decision-making resilience. You can develop practices that keep you centered under pressure. You can build mental habits that support clear thinking instead of reactive thinking. The stewards who figure this out don't just survive challenges. They use them as opportunities to get stronger. They don't just manage resilient land. They embody resilience themselves. If you're sitting there recognizing yourself in this resilience paradox, what I call resilience paradox, if you've built healthy land but still feel fragile as a steward, you're not broken. You're just missing a piece that nobody talks about. In my upcoming masterclass, Regenerative and Resilient Pathway, starting July 22nd for 3 days, I'm going to discuss why we need to look to ourselves to see how we might be impacting our own stewardship and management. We're going to explore the human element that's been completely overlooked in regenerative education. You'll discover why your land can be thriving while you're still struggling and what to do about it. This isn't about positive thinking or mindset hacks. This is about developing the same systematic, practical approach to your own resilience that you use for your land's resilience. Because here's the truth. You can't build a truly resilient operation on top of a fragile decision maker. Remember, resilience isn't just about what you build in your soul and your systems. It's about what you build in yourself. The land is only resilient as you are. But the good news is that just like land health, decision-making resilience can be developed systematically. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with a fellow land steward who might need to hear this. And join me in the masterclass where we'll dive deeper into the human side of being a resilient land steward. Registration link will be in the show notes. It's time to build resilience where it matters most, in you. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for listening to Regenerative Agriculture, Thriving as a Modern Rancher. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, share with fellow ranchers, and leave a review. Together we can regenerate our lands, our profits, and our lives. Until next time, keep thriving.